Hi, my name is Ashu. I am your spiritual business coach here to help spiritual entrepreneurs, light leaders, and spiritual business people to actually run their business in alignment. And I am here on the Online Prosperity Show with Prosper and having this lovely conversation where we talk about how you can break free from whatever prison you have been putting yourself in, and to remind you that you are a seed that has been planted and you're about to shoot right up, and exactly how you can do that even when you don't have evidence of it around you or supportive people around you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Online Prosperity Show. I'm your host, Prosper Taruvinga, and today we're going to be diving into the world of spiritual business coaching. And our guest today is Ashu. Now, Ashu, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, and I had a lovely conversation with you, so I'm excited for what is about to unfold.
Oh, the pleasure is all mine. I was just saying that I've never met somebody who just goes by one, name like you do. And I'm like, you like Oprah famous, you know what I mean? Just one name that does it all. So yeah, I can't wait to uncover what it is that you're bringing to the table. Now, for those that are meeting Ashu for the very first time, this is going to be a name that you are never going to forget, because Ashu is not your everyday business coach. She actually is a go-to coach for spiritual business women who are ready to move beyond the cookie cutter strategies that are out there in the marketplace. And what she does is she aligns them with what really feels right for them. All right. So I want you to imagine this. You're stepping into the business world where your energy and intuition are your only sort of greatest assets, and that's exactly what Anshu helps her clients to achieve. All right. Over the past 4 years, she's guided more than 500 women to, start enjoying those delicious six-figure months. Everybody just keeps talking about them. Her clients are experiencing them, all while helping them stay true to their own unique purpose. We were just talking about how the internet can make or break certain people and make you follow, whatever is on trend. But if you're on purpose, your business will be profitable and enjoyable. But here's a twist. While I was researching Ashu, I noticed that what all started from a college scholarship that actually felt more like a chain than a gift is what has brought Ashu to where she is today. So she realized that if she could create her own path, free of limits, she would, should not have to rely on anyone else again. So many people have invisible shackles that are holding them, and they don't quite know it yet, And she set out to make 300K in 1 year with zero income to start. And she actually hit her first six-figure month in just 4 months. So there's a lot to uncover from all of that and the success that she has started to enjoy. So today, she's just here to share her story, her methods, and her secrets to tapping into your true potential. And I can't wait to share her with you. Now, Anshu, I could go on and talk about your accolades and everything else, because you do have such a resume and things of that nature, but it just defies the whole purpose of having us having you on the show. Let's maybe start with your journey from a college student with a scholarship. What was going on there?
So I come from India, and in from a very, I would say, restrictive background. Being alive actually is a blessing, because the state I belong from, girls are not really looked as like a good thing to have. They're always preferring boys and raising boys and everything. So I'm glad that my parents were happy that I am born as a daughter, and they raised me. I have a sister as well. So being able to, and I've seen how much shit my parents have gotten for having two girls and not a son in the family, and not having a person who would carry forward the family, and because the daughters are married off, the family is done, and all of that. So, uh, I come from that place, and I never thought that I will get out of the city. So, I belong from the city that's called the most beautiful city in India. And in that city, I thought I'm going to grow up there, do my high school there, do my college there, get married off. And that's like the picture that I had for myself, because that's what I've seen women in my family go through. They were not even in cities, they were in villages. I was glad to be in a city and to have the experience of modern like life and have water 24/7 and all of those experiences. So after high school, I was like, I cannot do college here, because I really wanted to get out of my house. I felt restricted. I felt like all of the gifts that I had were not being honored, recognized, because I had published 2 books. I had written poems, and my teachers in my school were so loving. They helped me publish it with a couple of other authors. But I never got to go to my own book launch on the second book because my parents were too tired. They didn't see of them as accomplishments, because you need to study, get a government job, be stable, and this writing thing is not in alignment with that. So I was also asked to pursue medical fields and do doctors and everything. I was like, that's not my thing. I would not be able to go through that. So I wanted to study psychology, but my parents were not happy with that. They wanted me to do medical, so I chose the middle one. Not yours, not mine. I chose commerce, I chose business, and I have no interest in business whatsoever at that point. So I'm talking from like a 15, 16-year-old me who has no interest in business whatsoever. She's always seen herself as a job person, doesn't think she's, even though she's writing poems, writing books, she's writing short stories, going to competitions, painting and everything, she never saw herself as a creative enough person for a business, because she thought for business you have to be creative, you have to be on your toes, you have to, the way business is taught basically, that I just didn't resonate with. So I was like, maybe it's not for me. Maybe I'll just do some basic job. And that's where I fought a little with my parents. And I said, I am actually going to go outside the city and do my bachelor's, my undergrad, somewhere outside the city where I'm not at home, because my mental health was declining real fast. I have gone through stages of self-harm and suicidal thoughts and all of those things, and I didn't have access to therapy because those conversations are not done in my family. So now it has become much better that I'm studying counseling. They are open to the aspect of it. They still don't understand it fully, but I'm grateful that they do understand that I find it important. And then I was able to manifest the scholarship, I would say, for a 50% scholarship for my tuition fee. And my parent, and it was a expensive university, I would say. It was a budding university. It was no I won't say it was like the top, like Harvard or Stanford or something of India. I wasn't like that, but it was far away from home. So for me, it was the best thing I could have gotten. And I said to my parents that I'm getting a 50% scholarship here, let's go. And my parents agreed, and I was like, wow, that I could not, I had to visualize myself sleeping in the hostel room and everything, and I was like, oh, I got it, great. So I went there, and I loved this newfound freedom that I received. And I'm a very co-curricular person. So I enrolled in so many clubs, so many things, and people loved me so much there. The teachers, the faculty, they just loved me so much. Everyone knew my name. And it's a almost like a little big university. So people knowing me was like a big thing. I Even though I hated business, we have this startup club in the university, and I was not a part of it, but I kept bringing people who were like, oh, you know what, I have this idea. I'm like, you know what, I know this faculty, let's go there. And the faculty member was a little tired of me bringing 4 people every week, telling them that, hey, this person wants to start a startup, maybe you could help them. And they wanted to really offer me like a joint secretary position, which is not done for people who are in the first year. So I said that, no, I'm not into startups. I just want to help other people. And I guess now that I'm saying this, I'm looking back at how now I'm helping people start their businesses. And at that time also, I was helping them start their businesses, which was pretty cool. I didn't realize it so far. But yeah, so, but then that 50% scholarship came with like terms and conditions applied, because I had to maintain a specific score with my studies in order to get that scholarship in every term. And that meant I have to leave. I felt like I have to leave all of these co-curricular things because I need to focus on my studies. Will I be able to get it or not? And that was so much stress that one of the faculties in that startup area, I had become best friends with them at that point. And one of them said to me, this scholarship feels more of like a burden on your shoulders than a manifestation. And I was like, oh. So the problem, it felt like he pointed out the problem for me. And I was like, okay, so if I can make so much money that I do not need the scholarship and I can pay my university fee all by myself, then I wouldn't have anything to worry about. So the money will solve my problems technically. And in India, it's not the culture where you pay your own university fee, it's your parents who pay it for a very long time. So that is very different when you come to an international country and you're seeing students pay their own fee, go part-time jobs and everything. That's not the culture in India, actually. So I thought, okay, because if I let my parents down, I lose my scholarship, my parents will have to pay more money. They gave me this liberty to get into this university because I have a scholarship. So all of this pressure was up on me. And I decided, okay, I'm going to make money, but that too, not from a business. I took all sorts of internships, jobs that paid me very little as they could. And I took them all because I wanted to make money, because I wanted to have as much money as I needed so that I could be free from these expectations and the things that I have to fulfill for other people and not be myself. So I went out, I did all of these things, and then, and this is all happening, by the way, in 2020. So in 2020 beginning, I decided to hit that goal of I'm going to pay my own university fee. And then the lockdown happened and I had to go back home. So I am now stuck at my house and I'm still thinking I need to make university money. I got on LinkedIn out of nowhere in June 2020, I got this message, would you like to do copywriting for us? And I'm like, what? Okay, cool. And I was like, cool, I can. And they asked me to quote a price. I said, I remember Googling what is an average price for a freelance content writer and in India. And I quoted them something, like I quoted them something and they said, we'll pay you double. We'll pay you double for the next 3 months. We just want to go to work. And I'm like, so much trust in my abilities. It felt like it fell into my lap out of nowhere. And I was so excited because that was going to make me money. And that was the goal that I was working towards all this time. And then what I'm not telling you all this time is that I was very deep into self development work. I was very deep into manifestation. I was studying, I was improving myself, and all of that information, reading books, courses, and all of that. That was a lot of information for me to keep in my stomach. I can't keep things to myself. So I started putting them out on an Instagram page and I just posted content. I would write answers on Quora at that time where I would answer questions of people who were going through stuff. And I started getting people texting me, can you help me out? They started thinking that I was some old person who knows their stuff and has their stuff together. But they didn't see my profile picture. They didn't know who I am. They don't know who's sitting on the other side of the screen. So they thought that I can help them. I'm some counselor or therapist or something. And I was like, what? I cannot do that. But I just said that, hey, I'm not qualified to do this, whatever you're asking me to. But here are some things that I have learned from books and stuff that I think might help you. And I had people who were like 40 years old. I am 17, 18 years old. The 40-year-old people with two kids texting me and asking me stuff. And I'm like, oh, I am texting them back. This is, I think, might help you. And it is actually helping them. And I'm like, what have I just done? Why is this helping someone? I'm just giving basic advice. And I realized those basic advice are things people don't really know of. Sometimes we take those things for granted, things that come very naturally to us. I have been journaling for the past 9, 10 years consistently now, every single day. And people don't know how to journal. And it comes so naturally that I think everyone would just know how to journal, right? But they don't. And that is what I started realizing. That's where I was like, maybe I could offer life coaching. That's where I got into the area of life coaching. So I got like a certification, like a basic certification. And I started making a website. I made my website. I priced my packages real high. No one bought, no one, not a single client. And then I launched these very tiny sessions, like 30-minute sessions. Three, if you would think of it in dollars, it's just $3. That's how it is. But if it's in INR, it's like a little bit more money, I would say. So in Indian currency, it was a little bit more money. So I started offering them, and I booked out like 3 sessions in September 2020. So September 2020 is when I officially mark as my starting of the business, where I actually took it seriously. And then I started posting, I was creating courses, I learned how to read tarot cards, and it was fun because it helped me guide myself and ground in my, I found more and more spirituality, I would say, on my path. So I did the tarot readings. I learned tarot. I started doing readings. People liked it. I started teaching tarot. So I always did something like this where I would learn something and I would offer it. And if I am able to really help people, then I would start teaching it. So this was like a model that constantly kept repeating for me. I learned manifestation. So I was doing these manifestation coaching sessions as well for people, where I was helping them, okay, this is a limiting belief I see and everything. And then it worked so well, I started teaching people how to manifest in courses. So if you have to put it in a typical business language, it is like first you do it one to one. Once you refine it, you do it in a group setting, and then you put it in autopilot sort of a thing. So this is what I was doing without knowing what I was doing. And by December 2020, I had made enough money, more than enough money, and I paid my own university fee. But the fun part here is I graduated after some time. I graduated in 2022. I paid my university fee all the time. After that, I graduated with the 50% scholarship. I didn't lose it. My grades were still up. Actually, my grades were the top of my class in my batch. So I got the gold medal of my batch on my graduation. And after my university finished, I went full time in business. And in this entire period, I jumped a lot of niches, how people like to call it. So, life coaching, manifestation coaching. And then I came because I built such a good spiritual business. People were like, how did you do it? Other spiritual entrepreneurs. I started being a spiritual business coach. And that made me realize this is what I want to do. And that's
Wow.
how I ended up in business. Yeah.
Fantastic. Wow, what a journey there, Ashu. And kudos for you for really choosing yourself, because you did mention that you came from a society that obviously marginalized women and girls, especially, and you wouldn't have had the opportunities had you not stood out, for yourself. Now, while you were talking, I was just trying to see the reasoning behind that, because I've got two girls myself, and they're the best thing that have ever happened to me. And I'm just thinking, your parents would not have seen, the gifts that you came bearing. But I think you answered my question along the way when you said it is the culture that the parents have to pay for the school fees. Now, my question to you is, do you think the society and culture and all the other people do not necessarily want to have girls because they don't want to pay for them, knowing they're going to be married off and go somewhere else, and it doesn't help them financially later on for their own name?
Yes. Yes, that's like you've got it very right, even without me explaining it explicitly. It's exactly how that is, because you pay for their education, but there's also this even though it's not legal, but the dowry culture where the woman is getting married, so you have to pay the groom's family a big sum. So you have to save for that as well, because if you're a girl's family, not only are you paying for their education, because the girl needs to be well educated now at least to get married off and get a good match, because you also want a good match for the person. And then you have to pay a good amount, because if you want a good match, you need to pay a good amount, so you need to start saving for it. And if you have multiple girls, you have to do it multiple times over and over again. And that is just sort of, and they think that there is that patriarchy sort of running. It is over. I'm going to say it is much better. The kind of picture that we have at times, it's not true anymore. It has changed quite a lot, but it is still there, because I have gone to my like relatives giving birth, and if it is a girl, I have seen people crying in the ward where you sit, and the mother is with the baby and the people are around. I've seen people crying, and like someone has died crying sort of a thing, that because it's a girl. And I have seen that, and I have felt so sick in my stomach when I've seen those things. And my, like, people still telling women who are old, I would say, who are done with their life and like, I don't want to have kids anymore, telling them to have another kid just so that they could have a son because they've had daughters all their life. And
Mm.
blaming, even though we know scientifically that it's the male sperm that defines the gender, still blaming the women for it, still abandoning the women for it. If the woman cannot bear child, then abandoning them, and to the point that they have to commit suicide because their life feels worthless. And all of those things is still there in the industry. And that's why in like, I specifically work with women because I want to help them become financially independent. Because you feel that pressure that I have to be someone, I am carrying the respect of my family, I am taking it to the next family, I am getting married off into a different family, I have to make sure everything is perfect, I need to know how to cook, clean, laundry and all of that stuff, so that my parents don't have to take a lot of stress, all of those expectations. And on top of that feeling, and plus we come from a collectivistic nature, so we live together, we are living in, some people are living in joint families. Now there is more and more like nuclear families and lesser mother-in-laws and father-in-laws around, but still there is that collectivistic nature that I can't do this because my parents won't approve of it. I had to hide my tarot cards for a very long time. They used to be hidden in like a drawer. And so when my parents would go, I would open up the drawer and I would do readings, deliver them, and then put them back in the drawer. And then slowly I opened up to my parents and I shared. And they were very inviting. I'm happy. My mom was the one who was very supportive of this. Because she has gone through all of this herself. Every woman would, as I'm speaking this, I know someone, if they are from any of the backgrounds that are similar, not just from India, they would be like, oh my God, that is so true. And I'm so glad someone is speaking up about it, because my mom was the first one to be happy about me going out of the city. She's happy. I had to fight a lot to come here to Australia. Imagine how much I had to fight to come to a different city, a different state. I had to fight much more to come to a different country, that too to pursue something I want to study, which
Wow.
has no guarantee of getting a government job or like a permanent position, stable income, and everything. You don't know what will happen. And it's not even considered a real job at times in India, because it's still, the therapy culture is still building up. Psychology, mental health, still taboo. So, yeah.
I'm just I'm just out of words based on just that narrative alone. And I can only imagine because, like you said, you ended up publishing two books and poems and things of that nature. Would those poems and books have maybe been an outlet, just because you had no connection with the world, which even if you wrote the book, you were not even going to go to the launch party of that particular book just predicated on what was happening in that sort of scenario and things of that nature.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I definitely, like, I feel now I don't write anymore. At that time, I used to write a lot of stories, so much writing, because I was trying to build situations and alternative reality, to be honest, so that I could live through those books. I was reading a lot of books. I was reading a lot of romance novels for sure, because I wanted to see the love that there exists, which I was not receiving in general, and the kind of life, the mediocre life I had pictured in my head, that this is what I will be subjected to. So I read a lot. I had so many books. I looked the books at behind you and I'm like, yeah, I used to be the one who had so many books. I used to write so much. And it was all an outlet, because all my poems were around these themes of how the mother is not accepting of the child and not loving the child, and the child feeling rejected. My poems used to be around those themes. And now I feel like I have built a better relationship with my parents, a lot better. I think teenage is also to blame there a little, because I was a teen at that time and I hated my parents at that time. But I realize now that they were doing their best. And now I have built a better relationship with my parents. I have built a better relationship with myself, and accomplished something a lot of women would not dream of in India. Most of the people, they still go out. A lot of women still go out of the country, but they go out as wives. Like, they've been married off and now the husband works outside, so the woman will of course go with the husband in a different country, and then they get that freedom. Then they're like, oh, now I'm in a different country, I need to make money, because it's the INR, Indian currency, is not that equivalent to USD or AUD, let's say. So both the people need to work, and that's how they're finding their freedom. It's like a forced freedom. Now you have to become free so that you can live. I'm glad that I was able to break that and come before on my own terms. Yeah.
Somehow I also feel this is not just your story. This is a story for all the other people, especially women that are going through this. Some might not be able to make it, and some might actually support the system that they're in, because fish do not see the water they swim in, and neither can we see the air that we breathe. So for them, they might just think that's the order of things. But I kind of feel like there's also maybe others that maybe yearn for that. Do you feel the burden of being a representative of freedom, because representation matters? If other girls would be able to see that you have been done and now are enjoying, that they might look up to you and maybe want to follow your footstep and see, because you've done it.
Absolutely. So I would say that yes, there is that representation element in me for sure, because when I get on discovery calls with people, even if they cannot invest in my programs, I actually still get on a discovery call with people just to hear them out, because I know I needed someone to hear me out back then. And the kind of stories they are sharing, the kind of abuse they're going through, and all of those things. And I'm like, oh God, I'm here for you. And even if like it helps, just think that the fact that you came across me, you found me somehow, means that it's a possibility for you too, because otherwise that possibility would not have existed in your world. So that's there. But the burden part that you said, I will trace it back and I'll bring it to a very low level of, I feel the burden to constantly do well, like how we were talking, that you have to prosper. Prosper is your name. Like I have to constantly do well because my little sister is looking up to me. I get to define what will be possible for her. And now I see the kind of freedom she's getting, like how all the elder child look at the younger child and why is she getting to go on all these trips without even like asking? I had to cry for it for 5 days. But I am glad. A part of me is angry, but a part of me is glad, because the more I am able to accomplish means the more I'm able to open up for my little sister. And the more I'm able to open up for her means the more I'm able to open up for my nieces and the ones who are around me, who are looking at me, that oh, we have an auntie who lives outside of the country. That's a possibility for us. She has a business. We know we don't do business, women don't do business, and now they're looking at it, and then it spreads across.
Mm. Now, obviously, you would have, in this journey of yours, you would have had to, like you said, personal development is not just read a book or take a shower and automatically your mind is cleared and everything else. You would have had to go through layers and layers of society, of tradition, of everything else that came along with it. Now, that journey alone would have been very, very difficult. Was there at least some sort of support, maybe from the parents helping you buy the books, or where would you have gotten access to that information?
So I used to have like a small budget every year. I used to, because we don't have a concept of pocket money as such. At least I didn't have one in my house. It's just because what do you need pocket money for was the question that would come up. But when they thought of books, they thought I'm studying, that I'm improving my knowledge and everything. And that's something my parents have always been up for, because my mom has studied. My dad has a double degree. My dad's a lawyer and he did engineering before that, and my mom is a teacher and she did like her masters and like she studied economics, she studied our language, our regional language and everything. So they do value education as such, because they do want me to get a government job, they do want me to get like a job that is stable. So that means I need education. So I would get the set budget and I would use it to buy books. That's all I would use it on, because at that time books were something that helped me escape life. So books was there. I did have access to the internet. I feel like my computer was a blessing. I was very young, I would say, when we got our first computer, and I was the happiest because I was the tech person, at least in my house, because they didn't know how to use a printer, they didn't know how to use the speakers and fix those things. So I would fix those small things for them, and I used the computer to study and everything and learn about it. But as I grew up, I guess around um the 18, or I would say younger, 16, 17 mark, 16, 17 years old, my mom got a touch screen phone. That was like a blessing for me, because now I could use that. So I was using it, and I was getting part of these groups, and I was watching YouTube videos on the laptops. And I didn't have a laptop until I went to uni. So that is a different story. I didn't have a touch screen phone um, until my high school was ending, I would say. And that too, one of my brothers from Australia just brought it, and it didn't have a double SIM slot. So my dad was like, this is useless to me. So he gave it to me. That's how I got my first touchscreen phone. And I still have it, actually. I still have it, because it's like, this is what made me money for the very first time in my life. This is what helped me. So this is where I was watching. I listened to a lot of podcasts, because I believe that I didn't have the money to invest in courses. I didn't have money. I would take free trials of Audible and stuff so that I could read books. I read the books around what's the name of that person? Um the one who channels Esther Hicks,
Yes, to
Abraham Hicks. I
Abraham,
read all of those
with
books on
Abraham, yeah.
Audible in a free trial, so that I don't have to pay money, because I don't have the money to pay for all of those things. So I did that, and this phone helped me buy the laptop that I'm doing this on, buy this mic that I'm doing this on, the phone, the new phone that I was able to buy all by myself. I didn't have to ask my parents for a phone. I bought my sister a phone much earlier than I got one, and all of that because I got that phone. So I feel like technology really was a blessing at that time. And yes, podcast, YouTube, free trials, as many free trials I could get. I was on those free trials. Yeah.
I can imagine you've got 1,000 email addresses, you know, that you
I
just
do. I have so many email addresses. I get so much, like the moment I open my phone and I have to switch, I check my emails. It takes me a lot of time to check my emails because I have so many.
absolutely. But you got to do what you got to do. And thank you so much for sharing that aspect. And for those that are watching right now, I encourage you to actually subscribe to the Online Prosperity Show because you know, just like Ashu, she took all the lessons and learnings from watching and listening to podcasts like this. Now, talking about learning, Ashu, you congratulations, you got a 50% scholarship awarded to you, but it then turned to become more of a burden. And you also introduced a character, you know, in your story, which is in the line of your professor, whose comment about your scholarship being a burden really hit you. Now, how did that realization impact your mindset towards financial independence?
So, money is something I've always been motivated by, I would say, because we've had a lot of these things that you can't buy that, you can't have this. Because I recently just bought choco chips, and I felt so happy because I was like, I've never bought choco chips before, and like to bake something. And I love baking, love making stuff. I was like, I've never bought. Holding that packet made me feel so different. And that's what made me realize that, oh, all these little things that I wouldn't buy because we have to, like, we belong to a good family, I would say, like a upper middle class or a middle class family from India. So we had all our needs provided for, but we didn't have money to splurge, right? And given that I don't get pocket money, I couldn't buy those books. So I felt that pinch every time I wanted to learn something and I couldn't. I felt that pinch every time I wanted to enroll in a course and I couldn't. So money was always there as a motivator, but it didn't get activated so much because I thought the things that I want to go to hotels, I want to have bathtub, like taking a bath in a bathtub was like the supreme level of luxury for me at that point as an 18-year-old. And I thought that will all come when I have a job, I'm 30 years old and everything, and that's when it will happen. But when he said that, I just thought, okay, there are some opportunities to make money. I could figure something out because I remember after my high school, we have a big break before the university, before the results come out. There's a big break. It's like 3 months long. I took my first internship then. I did my first internship, which paid me very little, but it asked me to edit 2,000 word articles, two every day for a week. So I edited those articles just to get a little money. So that's how driven I would say I was, that, oh, give me anything, I'll do any work. I was also writing for a newspaper in 12th grade, which is the end of high school for us. So that's the last grade that you go through. I was writing for a very renowned newspaper because one of the teachers, again, I have had teachers come as angels in disguise for me. One of the teachers in my high school was like, hey, you did a poem on Independence Day, and I had to write in my language, which is Hindi. I suck at it. I suck at my language, and my mother is a Hindi teacher. It's even worse. So I had to write a poem and I had to put it on Independence Day of India, and I recited it. And one of the teachers liked it so much. They were like, I'm going to connect you with this newspaper, write an article on a weekly basis, and they will pay you. And that's how I got my tax information sorted so that I could get paid. That's how it all, I feel like I was the first person to have the tax card in my high school, in that class, because no one ever got paid before that. And that is like those supportive figures that came through, that money started rolling in, and it made me feel good. And that money helped me buy books, courses, and everything. So that's where, when that teacher said that to me, I was like, I have made money before. I have, now I'm 18 years older. So I have that 18 years thing, because you have to be an adult for a lot of things. And I was like, now I can get jobs, now I can get internships, now I can get more. So that is how that fire lit and under my soul, that I am going to get something, I'm going to get make some money. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, we are tall because of the shoulders of giants that we're standing on, and people that come into our lives and obviously show us a different direction. Maybe when it's happening at that particular time, it might look like it's, we're being told off or things of that nature. But if we really look at it, sometimes it will be the best decisions that we need to make for ourselves. And we might not have been able to make those. And when you went to this college, I mean, obviously you were paying for yourself and things of that nature, but you started connecting people to their actual destiny. And fast forward to today, you're now a business coach for spiritual entrepreneurs. Can you tell us a little bit more about, first of all, the clientele that you're working with and what actually drives them to seek your guidance?
Absolutely. So you remember how I said that I never saw myself as a business owner, because the way I am studying, I did my undergrad in business administration. I did finance, I did accounting, I did marketing, I did human resource. I've learned all of those subjects. I have seen it firsthand and how it operates in this real world, if you want to call it. And I was like, this is not me. I was crashing. I passed all my subjects and everything, and I did really great. Yes. But that is because of my programming to be a good student, to be an A grade student. That was not because I enjoyed the subjects. I never enjoyed any of those subjects. I was like, this is weird. I cannot be marketing because marketing doesn't feel expansive when you study it in that way. So I realized this is not for me. And now I'm working with spiritual entrepreneurs, because I realized when you are a little spiritually inclined, anything that feels like annoying or hustle, it just is not going to resonate with you. That's why a lot of spiritual people in jobs are always drained out, because they don't like the way the world works. It's not designed to support their energies, I would say. And the more spiritual you get, the more people think you are weird. So you're already getting rejected everywhere, and you feel like you have to water down yourself, you have to fit in, and you cannot be loved for who you are. And most of the spiritual entrepreneurs, I can bet, most of the spiritual entrepreneurs have had some tough childhood experiences, including myself and all the people I coach. And they need to be held in a different space. You can't hold them, you can't coach them as like, go do 500 cold DMs today, go do this. You cannot do it like that, because they are already carrying those unprocessed wounds, and they might not even have had access to therapy or to actually process it, or they might have been pushing it down so much that they've forgotten they have been harassed, and they've forgotten all of those things and that have happened to them. And then there is a generational trauma aspect to it. There's so much, like, I love studying about trauma and everything, and like all of that they're carrying through epigenetics and what their mother went through and what they saw as a child, and those memories are blocked, they don't even see it. And you tell them to do something, it triggers something in them. You just can't expect them to work like that. So when I was
Mm.
working, I was coaching these, my first course was when I was still a manifestation coach, but a lot of spiritual entrepreneurs were like, how did you build a business so good? Teach us. I made a course. And I was doing a group program. And when they were telling, I was telling them about branding and like basic stuff. I was not that great at it that time, but I was teaching, I was at the best that I could be at that time. I taught them about branding, niche, ideal client, and I love simplifying things, because the way I was taught, oh, horrible, I'm going to say, because you are taught from a very business perspective. You are taught to be very formal. You're taught to be sharp on your toes. That is like hypervigilance for a person who's gone through stuff already. So they're already hypervigilant. They can't be being on their toes even more. And when I started teaching them, like, oh, you want to create your ideal client? Think of a pizza. Let's build a pizza, and this is going to be your ideal client. And that was so, like, gentle for them. It made them feel like, wow. And I'm like, you don't know about ideal clients? Oh, spiritual entrepreneurs hate the business world so much that they don't study anything about it, because the way it is being taught, and they lack so much information that they need as a catalyst to improve their business and create impact. So they're missing the main thing. And I like to call myself a bridge between the 5D world that these spiritual entrepreneurs live in. They're always meditating, always channeling, always receiving so much guidance and so much wisdom, but they don't share it. They don't come down to the 3D because they've been trying to run away from the experiences they've had. So I call myself a bridge and like, let me make a gentle ride for you. Let me show you that this is another way. I taught people in my first course how to create, like how we say business model. I taught them to create a cake, a 3 level cake. Now that made it much gentler for them to receive. If you tell them you need a business model, there should be a high ticket offer, low ticket offer, they're zoning out already. They're not even listening. They stop listening after business model because they think they're not capable, because all of those limiting beliefs are blocking them from thinking that, oh, I am not a business person. I can't understand business. I can't do maths. I cannot do finances. They have that belief, self identity, and when you try to teach them business in the normal language, they will never understand it. And that's where I had to twist my methods a little, and I love simplifying things in a way that even a child can understand business. And when
Mm.
I did that, more and more people started coming, more and more people resonated with me rather than other business coaches out there. And that is why I found my purpose, that these women have gone through so much, plus they're trying to run a spiritual business. It's a big thing that they're trying to accomplish, and they need help. They need help that is designed for them.
Absolutely, I quite like that. And you had me at cake there. I mean, you spoke about chocolate chip before, and you got me all hungry. You know what I mean? It's I can now I'm hungry to learn
That
more.
happens a lot with my clients. I tell them to either eat a lot or have something to eat after my sessions, because I talk a lot in food examples, because I think of food a lot.
Absolutely. I quite like that because, I mean, obviously, so many of these concepts are very foreign to a lot of people. I mean, it's not every day that you come across, yet, like you say, an ideal customer, but somebody will come across a pizza and somebody would say, you know what? I don't want pineapples on my pizza because that, and, that's when people will start, chasing, oh, I want a vegetarian pizza. So automatically you can now start knowing there's difference and different preferences, tastes, and things of that nature. Now, as someone, from what I'm hearing, you are actually emphasizing alignment, with who you are and things of that nature over traditional strategies which are being taught in the everyday school. Usually from people that have never really started a business anyway. What's sort of like a common how do I say this? Like a misconception that people have about spiritual business coaching, because you'd be coming in and they start thinking, it's too woo woo, you know what I mean? Or you were talking about tarot cards and you even had to hide them from your parents and things of that nature, because people don't, yeah, if something doesn't have a scientific or a number to it, they don't quite want to just jump into it. But you've managed to do that for people.
Absolutely. And I have a lot of skeptics around me. I have a lot of friends in the uni as well who were extremely skeptical. They did take tarot readings from me. And now I got a call recently from someone and they said, the things that you said about us 2, 3 years ago, they have panned out exactly how you predicted. And I was like, always love a confirmation, always love more evidence about my thing. But yes, you have asked a very important question of how do I work with spiritual entrepreneurs when there is not a lot of evidence around things that we are doing. There's not a lot of like they think, what do I think when I'm going in? That's the whole point. Because I know there are a lot of coaches in the industry at this point. All they teach is energetics, and then they call themselves a business coach, and that creates a wound in the entire industry because a lot of clients go in with different expectations, and then when they're like, oh, this is all woo woo stuff, this is all esoteric, I can't make sense of anything, and then they start thinking like how a woman has a bad experience and then she starts hating all men. The same thing, a client has a bad experience, they start hating all coaches. That is exactly what happens. But my containers are so different because I, just like I said, I'm a bridge between the 3D and the 5D. Now that I feel like it was supposed to be that I was supposed to do a undergrad in business administration. I didn't choose it, but it was a elimination method. I don't want to do this, I might do this. And now that I know internals of how things are taught, I know the strategy part of it. So when a client comes to me saying that, hey, I am really trying hard to get clients, but it's not working, along with the energetics, I am like, I do see there's some things in your content that could be improved, and I'm teaching them all of those things. So there's like a beautiful mix of both those things, because the reason why spirituality feels scary to people, or spiritual business coaching, let's take that for an example, feels scary to people, is because there is nothing tangible they can hold on to. There's not a business plan they can hold in their hand and be like, hey, this is my business. No, it's all up here. And that's what I do for spiritual business owners. I bring it to something tangible. I help them bring it down to something that, hey, this is what you're doing. Here is your offer. Because they make an offer, they're like, it's a tarot reading. It's an offer. No, that's not an offer. What is the result you're providing? What is the problem you're gonna help with? So all of those concepts that I've learned, I put them in a way that is digestible for this person right in front of me, in a way that their psyche is willing to understand, and at a level they're willing to grasp it. So I would bring in tangible elements from things like I teach my clients business pillars. I teach my clients how to create content pillars. I teach my client batching processes. I teach my clients sales pages. I teach my clients how to create an offer structure. Business model is a lot of work around business model, how to create boundaries, how to have time off in business, how to download new offers, and like create an offer structure, offer messaging. I teach all of the strategy part as well. I do it with them, but I just add a spiritual twist to it. So instead of having content pieces, a lot of people struggle with content. So I'll take that as an example. Is it supposed to be a carousel? Is it supposed to be a reel? Is it supposed to be a No one will ever know. So I tell them, how did you see it first? This is where I will tap into their intuition, because whenever I get a content idea, I always see it in my mind's eye as a specific thing. So when the content idea comes, oh, this is supposed to be a reel. I'm like, great, use that intuition instead of trying to fit it into a strategy that you've learned. So that is how we are using intuition intervened in the strategy.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I know there's a lot that we could dive into in the intricacies of how you work and things of that nature, but I'm supposing people will be able to find that in your content as well, considering you've been creating now content. Now, Ashu, I've got to ask, you are experiencing the very thing that you fought for. You know what I mean? You are now, like you just eloquently placed it, that you had a bag of, chocolate chip for you to be able to cook maybe a cake or chocolate chip cookies, and that just got you very emotional because you wouldn't have been able to do that had you still been in the same scenario. Now that you're here, why not live a little? Why not just worry about yourself and, be, do, and have whatever it is that you wanted to do? Why are you sending the elevator down helping other people?
I am doing both actually. So this is a concept that I love teaching my clients is you don't have to choose this or that. You can have both.
Mm,
That is something that really helps my clients and it also helps me is that I am having the experiences of my life, and the more experiences I have, the more I feel like I want more people to have these experiences. This is so great. I thought my life is so small, but life is so big and the world is so amazing and there's so many things out there. And I want to do all of those things and I want other people to be doing them too. Because I am eh, going to go back for other people's weddings and everything. I am going to go to India at some point, and I look around me, I want more women to be like, do you know, I went scuba diving. Like, what? How did you do that? Do you know, I went to do this? I was like, what? I want that experiences to be there for people. And even if it is, you know what, I was able to cry in my house without shutting myself down, without hiding my face in a pillow, and I was able to scream. Even if it is that, I'm able to sing, I'm able to laugh in the house and I'm not scolded for it. Even if it is that, I want more and more people to have that. So it is just a joy and it comes so naturally when I coach clients. It just like this conversation is making me so excited. I'm not going to be tired after this. I'm going to be so pumped up that I have to do something with this energy. Same thing happens when I'm with my clients. So when I'm working with my clients, it does not drain me out. It actually gives me so much energy that now I want to go out and watch a movie or play bowling or something, that I can actually go out of my house. I don't have to take permission of someone. And that just makes it even better for me to be an example, a living example for other people.
absolutely. I can only imagine because somebody would have been like, oh, you know what? I've done my part. I'm now just going to enjoy my life and everybody else figure out themselves, moving forward. But for those that are going to be connected with you and obviously love the energy that you've got to give and the insights and also strategies that you are bringing, I'm not sure, you did say, you've got this energy. Is this the feline energy that you have always talked about? Because I can literally hear you raw, through the microphone, and you're just going at it like that. Tell us about this concept. And I mean, obviously it is a fascinating idea. How do the traits of cats and lions actually translate into business strategies? And pretty much while you at it, just let us know how we can get a hold of you, if somebody wants to be a
Absolutely.
part of what you're doing.
Absolutely. I would love to do it with you though. Prosper, could you tell me of a feline that you comes to your mind when you think right now? Any feline,
Oh,
anyone.
well, let's just go for cheetah, or yeah, cheetah.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you think of a cheetah, what comes to your mind? What qualities, skills, whatever feelings comes up for you?
Have you seen those things run? The speed, the agility, the way it turns, just the way it gets about, and also that speed can be turned into slow movements into the jungle. You can hardly hear it coming. You can literally see a cheetah here, without you even hearing it or anything like that. So it's just a fascinating, animal right there. I don't know. Thank you. You took.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And now think of it in your life. How have you been doing that in your life? Where have you been picking up that speed and going at things like this? And where have you been being sleek, smooth, and like tapping around and then suddenly pouncing on opportunities?
Oh my word. All right. The speed at which we actually produce this show is record breaking. Like, from the time we invite the person to production and the amount of people that we're going through and still creating quality content. That's like the cheetah hunting. It goes in, it knows its prey, it never accidentally bites a tree. It bites the right animal at the right time and then feeds on it, and it's always clean. You never see a cheetah dirty. Ah, I love those guys.
So
Anyway,
that's how you embody feline energy. And you've already explained it yourself. I didn't even have to explain it. It's like you think of a feline, what qualities you associate with them, and then how are you putting them into your work. So when I think of it, I'm just going to take the simplest example is a cat. You
wow.
know that those cats are vocal. They keep crying at times. They will not shut up till they get what they want, which is food. And they're crazy at times. They do crazy things. And now, how I embody that in my business is I am vocal. I am going to sell out my offer. I am going to go launch. I'm not going to think, is it too much? Am I speaking too much? No, I will speak about my offers till the end of the world. I will sell them. I will launch them. And then I do crazy stuff. I create crazy content. I share crazy things. So I'm embodying all of those things in my business. That is feline energy in embodiment. Yeah.
Wow. See, now I can't unsee the cheetah, in the jungle and things like that. Now, where can people get a hold of you?
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
I live on Instagram. I live, breathe Instagram. So that is Listening Stories Untold. That is the name of my brand. That's also the name of the website, listeningstoriesuntold.com, if you need it. And I have a podcast called Your Spiritual Business Coach. That is where I share all the spiritual business coaching elements. So those are the three main spaces you could get in. There is a 3-part free training on feline energy if you're wondering what this is all about, because we touched slightly on it. That is also available in the link in my bio in Instagram.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'll make sure that all those links are in the show notes below. Now, Ashu, speaking of feline energy and things of that nature, does watching cat videos motivate people, or does that constitute part of, doing your part in embodying the feline video? Because cat videos are fascinating on the internet.
Absolutely. I love this question. I've never gotten this question asked, but as you've asked me that, I was like, what happens when you watch a cat video? You feel very happy. And I think your hormone secretion would be around those hormones that make you happy, that increase your happiness. And if that is what you're able to give to your body, less stress, please go watch cat videos. And yes, that's something I do. I have to watch my dose of cat videos every single day. I even foster cats at times. So at those times, I don't watch cat videos because I have a cat living in my house.
Cat in
But I
person.
do love watching cat videos because it really helps me to forget the stresses of the world for some time.
Absolutely. Now, Ashu, you've taken us on a journey. I mean, obviously, your life story and your experience, and I really wanted to make sure we take it with the utmost respect it actually deserves, because what happened to you and what you experienced, not only is it happening to you, but it's things that are way out of your control, but you didn't let that stop you. You literally elevated yourself, and along the way, you've become this representation to all the other women that might be experiencing that. On that aspect alone, I really appreciate you for the journey that you have taken. But it would be remiss for me to not ask you this. I mean, if you could maybe, knowing what you know now, and you're creating videos and content, and you did say little or young Ashu was also watching videos and learning from that. If she would come across a video that you would have created, what sort of message would you want to leave her with right now, knowing what you know now about life?
Whatever you're thinking, it's not true. That is what I would say to her, because she was thinking very in a limited space. The reason why I listened to those podcasts and everything was because I was looking at these millionaires and I'm like, oh, is this a life possible for me? And the message that constantly comes across is, even though I go into strategy and everything, the message that comes across is, it is possible for you. You might think it is not. Everything around you might be telling you it's not. People around you, evidence around you, you feel you're locked up, you feel like you're in a jail, you're in a prison for like lifetime in this house, but you're not. You can make it out of there, whatever that is. If it's a mental prison that you're in, if it's a physical like house that you can't get out of, because a lot of women are not allowed to get out of their houses a lot because of all the safety and security issues. So whatever prison that you feel like you are in, if you're a prison of a country, marriage, relationship, friendship, you can get out of it.
Absolutely. Now, from what you're saying, and I'm going to say this with utmost love and respect, you may indulge with it if you feel like, but I feel like what you're saying is whatever's happening to you, it's akin to a seed. You know, when a seed is put in the ground, you would think, or the seed would think that it is being buried, but it is actually being planted. So maybe being closed in or whatever it is, that didn't stop you. You wrote poems, you found an escape route, you went to the college, you did what you had to do to escape that. So maybe some people might just need that little push, just knowing, that we'll be doing. And I'm also beginning to think that whatever is going on in your life right now, you should pay attention. Not only will you one day have a good story to tell on the Online Prosperity Show, but it will define who you are becoming, in life, because now we created a magnificent episode.
Absolutely. And I love how you've put it exactly. I guess what I was trying to say is that some people forget they're a seed. Some people forget they are a seed buried in the soil. They think that is all there is. They don't realize the roots they're growing, and they don't realize that they're shooting up the stem. So I love how you've put it. And yes, this is something I used to think of. Someday I will be on podcasts and I will be telling my story, and I will be interviewed, and I will be paid to speak, and I'll give a TED talk. And those are the things that actually motivated me. So if that is something, because I always thought every time my life got a little bad, I would think, oh, this is just the spicy turn of my story so that I can build it and share it. So think of it like that, that this is just a spice in your story, otherwise it will be very bland.
Absolutely, because still talking about the seed analogy, and I know you love food, because when you look at an apple seed, are you able to tell how many apples are in that? But only when it's planted, and then year after year it just keeps sprouting all these apples. And look at all the women that you have helped over the 500 and things of that nature, people that wouldn't have known or dreamt that you would cross paths with them, and you can help them have a business that's profitable and enjoyable. What's
Absolutely.
next now, Ashu? What's next? Where are we headed to after this?
Well, I am headed to completing my master's in counseling psychology because I want to finally pursue my psychology dream that I couldn't before. And my whole purpose reignited because when I worked with these women in business coaching setting, I saw they needed therapy. They would benefit from therapy, but they were coming from business coaching perspective because they didn't align with therapists because they're scared of their spiritual aspects. So, what is next for me is to combine therapy and coaching in a way where I can hold spaces for people and I'm qualified to do those things with proper training and supervision to hold space for the traumas that they're bringing into my containers and help them process it. So, that is what's coming up for me next. Yeah, I'll be graduating next year.
Absolutely. We can't wait to celebrate that graduation with you. But I feel like since you've already written a few books, you now need to write a book which has which is the bridge. Like you said, your work is the bridge. I feel like you owe us that.
I do have a book in my head. It's been there since 2022. Yeah, 2022, it's been there. I've not worked on it. I'm gonna be honest, I've not worked on it because it's gonna be a lot of work, I know, and I'm waiting for that um feeling to pop in that okay, now it's time to go into your cocoon and get that book done. Right now, I'm in the process of birthing a big a container for helping other women become coaches and help other people. So those are the thing that spirit put in my heart that okay, today at this point you're supposed to birth this container. After that we'll see. After that I have no appointments with the spirits. Maybe it's the book that's next. Yeah,
Well, pretty much after the book has been written, you now need to set yet another appointment to come back and launch it on the Online Prosperity Show.
absolutely, I love that. I'll definitely do that. Yeah,
Fantastic. Now, Ashu, this has been an eye-opening conversation. I mean, not only at a traditional level, but also on a business level. You got me wow scratching like a cat. So not a lot of people can do that. I mean, your journey from really breaking free, of all those limitations, and now finding it within you to help others find their true path along by themselves as well with your help is truly, truly inspiring. And for everybody else that's watching, I mean, if you feel like you got everything that you need from this show, why don't you go ahead and connect with Ashu, or just check out her work that she's doing on the internet. Maybe she's actually the reason behind so many cat videos online, but that's besides the point. But if you know someone who could actually benefit from hearing Ashu's story and insights, especially people who feel trapped, it could be a mental trap or a real trap, just slide this show or episode into their DMs. Nobody's going to know, but you would know that you have helped somebody break free from those shackles that would have stopped them being, doing, and having an enjoyable experience. Okay. And while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe for more enlightening conversations like this one. And I promise the next one will have cake in it. As Ashu has, hinted that she absolutely loves the or has the joy of creating culinary experiences for people and maybe cats along the journey. Until next time, keep growing, stay aligned, and just remember, business success is just as much about your energy as it is about your strategy. Until next time, bye for now.